Hello everybody and welcome back to Game 2 between Believe and EJK in this AMD Radeon Extravaganza Best of 3. EJK taking Game 1 over Believe's Protoss. We'll see what they can do in Game 2. Joining me, Master Dalk. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, and as you said, this does qualify to Radeon Extravaganza. And, you know, next weekend, in fact, is Extravaganza. We've got $1,500 on the line for StarCraft 2. And so a lot of people, you know, they're trying to get in and get a part of the big money, as today whoever wins first actually gets free entry into next weekend. But enough of next weekend, let's talk about the now spawning on the bottom of Vonnie Research Station. We have our green Protoss representing Team Extreme Supremacy. It is Believe.
And then on the top side of the map, playing our blue Terran, we've got EJK. And we'll see who takes this best of 3. This could be the game. This could be the match here for EJK if he takes it. But obviously, Believe going to do his best to make this a game 3. So last time, EJK ended up going for a very aggressive strategy with Reapers into Hellions and a Marine drop, which ended up winning him the economy. This time, he's building very defensively by the look of things. Going for a supply depot, and I guess he's going to block that off with a barracks.
Yeah. Well, Vonnie Research Station, you do have an in-base expansion, so going for the wall, even if you don't want to, even if you do plan on going aggressive, it just pays off to put that wall there, and so that way when you do eventually get that command center, it becomes even so much safer for you to do just that. But it looks like actually the SCV going to be pulling back supply depot, maybe just for vision of the ramp. Barracks going to get thrown down a bit closer to the command center. It gets rallied all the way across the map already, so I highly suspect we'll get some Reapers coming out of EJK again.
And to counter that, we do have a gateway coming up out of Believe's arsenal, so he is going to have something to help defend so long as he builds that cybernetics core fairly quickly afterwards. In comes the assimilator, so he's going to go for gas. EJK having the same idea a little bit earlier, his refinery just finishing now to help with the gas needed to get those Reapers online. And out comes the SCV to scout? What's this SCV doing?
Should just be a scout, I think, as, you know, sometimes Protoss players especially, they'll throw something down when the SCV comes in and then cancel it once the SCV is gone, and then the Reaper can just do a second check. But there is also the possibility bunker get thrown down, but on this map it's a bit difficult since, you know, it's not a flat plane into the main base. You'd have to go up a ramp. But right now the SCV is in the base, probe is chasing it, and it looks like, yeah, it'll just be headed right back out of the main base, I believe.
Yep, just gonna see what's going on. Hey guys, how's it going? It's just gonna walk right back out. In the meantime, Reaper number 1, finally being finished. This little guy is going to start making his way across the map right away. His jetpack's ablazing, and it looks like Believe right now still just kind of sitting there, getting the resources, farming away. Doesn't have anything yet to really defend it, but has started to build a nexus at the Natural Expo already. So that's like going for the money right out of the gate. That's a pretty good start if you can defend against this finally on time Reaper. Unlike last time where it was a bit late, this one is right on point, and it's already doing some serious damage. The probe running away, it's going to get taken down. That's already a pretty decent thing for the Reaper to do. It's just going to back out as fast as it can. The Mothership Core are going to try to chase it. Oh, it's not backing out. EJK's Reaper looked like it wanted in on it, but then the Mothership Core decided to scare it away.
The Reaper's actually queued back in, but
yep, it's going to come back in, and the Mothership Core is on the wrong side of the base. The Reaper's going to go in and do some shield damage. And that's about it, unless if the Reaper really wants to die. It's going to end up getting 2 probes and then backing out again. Meantime, back at the base, there is another barracks going down with plenty of Marines being pumped out, so it's not like EJK is forgetting his macro. He's also got his command center going down. So that's going to be enough out of that Reaper. But that was a pretty good trade. 2 drones and no dead Reaper. That's fantastic.
Yep, and
well, 2 probes.
Yeah. For right now, though, we do have a Twilight Council on the way. It's looking to be very similar to last game. You know, we've got Factory on the way. Tech Lab this time actually going to be coming out. So I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing possibly Drilling Claws, the Widowmine drilling upgrade, or getting Blue Flame. Though, there is also the possibility of maybe going Marine Tank, though it's highly uncommon in PvT, but it looks like that Reaper will finally be going down to a couple of Stalkers, but it did get to see that the Twilight Council was up. Blink on the way, and it is actually going to be Marine Tank coming out of EJK. This is a much better map for it, as, you know, your main base is up on the high ground, the natural is already inside of your base as well, though, you know, with Blink, tanks, their effectiveness goes right down into the drain, as Stalkers, they can, on this map, can blink up from a variety of places.
Stalkers have a lot of mobility considering all the chasms, so yeah, I can see how they would be extremely useful. I'd also see that some flyers would be really, really good out of the Protoss side of things, but just so that way they could get to the Expo, maybe do some surprise attacks. Honestly, though, I have no idea. Oh, something got canceled. That was what it was. Terran player not able to, deciding that that was not in their best interest to build whatever it was that was. Building another bunker to replace whatever that exploded. And we're continuing to build siege tanks. Got a couple Marines. Nothing else really new. Or the players are just kind of doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Right now, Believe is waiting on Blink to finish up. He's got a couple more gateways on the way. EJK actually throwing down 2 command centers right now, so he's feeling very safe, surprisingly. Probe is heading up the east side of the map to throw down a proxy pylon, but a Marine was chasing it. It actually stopped following the probe. That is not what you want. And now that Marine will not be able to find this probe.
Nope, the probe is going to instead sneak its way into this minefield, this mineral field here, and then put in the proxy pylon. So EJK is going to want to find that as quickly as possible, unless if he doesn't mind having a bunch of Protoss just suddenly appear right on his doorstep. Stalkers are moving around, roving for any scouts or any units that they can pick off. And we have one of the Marines just casually taking over the watch post in the middle. One Marine getting taken out, Stalkers moving forward, taking absolutely superficial damage at worst. An Observer going to come and help them to do the Blink Strike strategy that we saw in the last game, at least attempted in the last game, possibly.
Yep, and right now we've got the Stalkers coming up towards the ramp. There are 2 siege tanks here and a missile turret, so the Observer can't even get in too close. One set of Stalkers does get a volley taken. And right now, EJK still does not know that where the proxy pylon is, but I'd say at this rate, it doesn't even matter. He does have a very solid defense, but, you know, the Observer can actually get in towards the back of the main base, blink right up onto a siege tank, will do just that, and for right now, it looks like, Believe, he's going to be taking a lot of damage on these Stalkers, as the other siege tank is still able to do quite a bit.
They took out a siege tank and maybe a Marine, but they ended up losing at least a few Stalkers and taking severe damage on the rest of them. They're going to end up taking out another Marine on the flip side, so yay, this group of Stalkers having taken out a grand total of 1 tank and 2 Marines on their first excursion, but at least now at this point, Believe knows what he's working with. He knows that he's working against siege tanks, and he knows what he can do against it. So what, as a Protoss player, do you end up doing against siege tanks?
Well, for right now, it seems he does want to stick with the Stalkers, but he is going to be getting up some Immortals, and this is a very good choice. Immortals with the high level of shields, high armor, are able to last a bit longer under those siege tank volleys. Dark Templar are also going to be coming out, and some counter aggression with the DTs will do a wonder. Now, as well, Believe getting the 1-1 upgrades will be very helpful, and Believe is also capitalizing on the fact that there is a 3rd base coming out right now, and EJK, he does have the 2 other command centers, but the thing is that EJK is a bit more locked into his bases right now.
Yeah, EJK definitely taking the safe route and playing very defensively by the look of things. He's now moving his command center, or hesitating to move his command center. There we go. Now he's moving into the 3rd Expo. Something that Believe has had for the last little while. His is healthily moving along just fine, and will probably build into gas soon. It seems like Believe wanted to really do a Dark Templar drop and couldn't quite do it on the National Expo because of the missile turret, so that's unfortunate for Believe that didn't work. Very fortunate for EJK, though. That would have been an absolute disaster had that worked out for Believe. Down goes a Stalker, walking right into a few angry siege tanks' range. They're going to have to play it safe for the next little bit. The Hellions going to start moving around and seeing if they can't find anything to pick off. The Stalkers are going in behind. Damn the siege tanks. They're going to do their best to do some damage. One of them gets picked off, however, and for little to no avail. So that Stalker, unfortunately, being the lone survivor of his pack, he's going to have to back off. On the flip side, Hellions starting to move forward. He's going to find this third Expo, and he's going to start torching those 4 probes. There goes 1, 2, at least 3. And what are they going to do to defend it? Well, we've got the Immortals coming in. They're going to take out 1 Hellion, 2 Hellions, this 3rd Hellion going down, the 4th one going to die as well. There's 1 Archon in this army, a couple of Zealots, and now we're going to probably see something move forward out of Believe. He wants to put on some aggression now he's taking out those Hellions and seems to have somewhat equalized the battlefield.
Yep. And, you know, right now, Believe still does have this proxy pylon over towards the center of the map, so warp-ins are still very possible. He also, of course, does have that warp prism. Still has 3 Dark Templar in it, so in the midst of the confusion, he is able to drop them in if he feels like it. Some High Templar now getting warped in for Archons, and it looks like the warp prism is now on the move. It's going to be heading towards the main base of Vikings, going to find it, however. And missile turrets also being built everywhere. All 3 DTs will get warped in, and some Hellions trying to move down south onto the map won't be able to do too much. DTs trying to take out whatever they can. Missile turrets are going down. Scan did go down, however, so the tanks are able to see them.
Yeah, and although they took out a couple of missile turrets before they got cancelled, there's only 1 survivor left, and he's backing off into an area that's full of stealth detection. There we go. 1 siege tank managing to pick him off. All those Dark Templar are going down. But on the backside, that was just a feint. We've got 3 Archons blasting their way through a ton of Terran units, and actually coming out way on top of that exchange so far. And they're doing a ton of damage to the command center. Command center is going to have to back off. It is on fire. It's going to need repairs at some point. But it seems like that's going to be enough for the attack out of Believe. EJK managing to push it off with a combination of Hellions, Hellbats, Siege Tanks, and Thors now that he's got up and running. So Thor, really big unit. I don't normally see those in StarCraft matches, or at least StarCraft matches that I've seen usually tend to be quite short. What do you think is going to need to happen here for the Terran player in order to secure victory? Because they are behind so far on resources that they've spent on their units, and resources lost.
Yeah, well, right now, just taking a very slow approach, as well as trying to use these Hellions to get in wherever they can, deal some damage, is the correct choice. Also, getting up some Widow Mines is a good spot. Using the Medivacs as well, maybe get some Widow Mine drops in. Just basically take advantage of the fact that the Protoss does not have the most mobile army, because a lot of the strength is in these Immortals and Archons, and they don't move very quickly.
No, they move, in fact, incredibly slowly. And we're going to see that here with the next bit of harassment engagement going down over here.
And
out comes the scan. It's not going to really see much. A couple of stalkers where they're hiding, but that's all he sees. And this stalker, this group of stalkers here is definitely bait. He put those there on purpose to be seen and hit the rest of his army back a little bit so that they don't see this group of 5 Archons and a bunch of Immortals. Oh, well, now he sees them anyway. So.
Yep,
EJK seen the bait for what it was, and out come the siege tanks. They are mobilized. They're going to take out those pylons piecemeal. And it seems like there's a bit of a standoff. EJK moving very slowly with his army of siege tanks and just maneuvering his way forward, scanning constantly to look for where he can place the siege tanks next. In come the Odins, the Zealots charging up. They're going to take out a couple of Thors. In comes a bunch more damage. These 2 armies just constantly fighting off one another. And okay, sorry, my game kind of minimized there for a second, which is really, really weird. Out comes the scanner, and by the end of it, it seems that, honestly, the armies kind of bounced off each other, but the Terran came out on top. They ended up recuperating the losses out of that particular engagement. But the Stalkers are going to come in and start dealing some serious damage to the economy of this Expo, and they're going to blink into these siege tanks. The siege tanks are going to do their best to try to take out the Stalkers. The Stalkers backing off as far as they can to stay outside of the siege tank range, while the Zealots come in and do some more damage. In the back, though, siege tanks protecting their friends as a second blanket of covering fire. The Immortal's going to have to back off a little bit as they take a ton of damage. This command center is going to go down if the Stalkers have anything to say about it, and they do. That was an impressive amount of damage that the Protoss units managed to put together. But will it be enough to secure victory, considering that there's a large number of siege tanks still left over, and I actually don't know where the Protoss army is right now. There's just this tiny little column of Stalkers and Immortals, and that's it.
Yeah. Though, believe right now, he does have quite a few gateways, and that's the thing with the Protoss army. He's going to be warping in now. He's going to be getting in all of his warping rounds as much as possible. He's got more Archons. He's getting a couple more Immortals on the way, but double Stargate is coming out. And actually, right now, it looks like some Hellions going to be heading in towards the 4th base, trying to kill as many pros as possible. Not going to be able to do too much as it's cleaned up, but right now, it's 94 army supply in favor of EJK to the 79 of Believe. And I'm sure once these Stargates are done, we'll be seeing that number equalize out fairly quickly. And
especially because of how many units Believe can put together in 1 minute. Like you said, he has a lot of gateways. He's able to warp in a ton of units extremely quickly. And if EJK isn't vigilant, those things could warp in practically anywhere. Believe has tons of pylons all over the place, or the capacity to put pylons all over the place, and EJK needs to be very, very careful to not leave his base unguarded. Whoa, look at all those mules. That is a lot of mules.
Well, that's what happens when you have, what is it, 6 orbital command centers? 5 orbital command centers right now. Most of those lit up with quite a bit of energy. And it looks like the tanks are going to be unsieging. The Widowmines now unburrowed, going to be moving forward. Stalkers trying to poke in here. Not quite the best time, however. We'll be able to get the couple of Viking kills, and that's good. It'll prevent a lot of vision for EJK, but on the flip side, you know, Believe he's just trying to buy as much time as possible. He's got 3 Tempests on the way, and those will help quite a bit versus the mech. Need to lower those tank numbers especially, but in the army that Believe has right now, it's going to be a bit difficult to do that. Not enough quick-moving units. He does have a lot of Immortals, however, trying to concave as much as possible. Hellbat's moving forward just a bit. Widowmine's underneath the tanks entirely. And now it looks like Believe he's going to be moving in. The tanks are dealing quite a bit of damage across all of the Immortals. Widowmine's dealing a lot onto the Zealots, but it looks like the Immortals are just strong enough. The 3 Tempests coming out as well, and all of those tanks going to get cleaned up. So many Immortals left over here for Believe, and this is an amazing position to be in. He's immediately going straight north, and again, having those 3 Tempests as well will also help in any future engagements versus any kind of slow-moving unit, which is pretty much what EJK's got right now. He's got tanks and Thors.
And honestly, he doesn't have any of those right now. He's only got 7 tanks and no Thors, as far as I'm looking at it right now. It's not a good position to be in. Believe looking to be in an excellent place to just take this game right here, right now. He's got a massive army over what EJK has, and if he can press his advantage, this could be it. He's got most of his army sitting in the back, though, and letting his Tempests do the majority of the work as they blast away, taking out SEV after SEV. Out comes a couple of Thors. They're blasting away at these Tempests. Believe is going to end up losing one of these things, but it's going to be a nice cost. It's going to be way too much for the Terrans to actually handle. Terrans going to concede. Believe taking game 2. We're going to game 3 in this best of 3 here. That was a crazy cool game.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. You know, we've got a lot of mech play coming out of EJK. From what I remember, back in March, it was a bit of a different style. It was much more of the quick harassment-based play, but this time around, a very methodical style coming out of EJK, and, you know, Believe with the tech switch to the Tempest and still staying strong with the Immortals is what allowed him to take that game. As we saw in the second last engagement that happened, those Immortals, they had the ability to just keep on walking into those tanks. You know, he had +1 shields, he had 3/3 on those Immortals as well. And those tanks, as much fire as they shot at those Immortals, they just weren't going to be able to kill them in time.
No, not even close. And then to compound that, like you mentioned, the Tempests, as they came in, like those must have been the deciding factor, because that fight went heavily into Believe's favor as soon as those airships showed up. At that point, it was just game over. But up until then, it looked like it was EJK's game to win. He was moving slowly and methodically forward, and finally had a foothold. Only to have it stolen from him at the last second. So that was a really close game. Lots of push and pull. But that's going to be a game 2 going towards the lead. We're going to have to go to game 3 now between these two excellent players. I'm really excited to see